Welcome, everybody.
Hey, guys. Welcome back.
Back again.
Yeah. Pissing Burnett off one small post at a time.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We're just referring back to our comments left on our last little short.
People were triggered on
short
TikTok.
clip?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? A short?
I think.
A short?
A reel, a short. Aren't they all the same?
Burnett
we don't know.
Was none too happy with us.
Yeah, I feel like you just mentioned the word Trump.
Do you want to do like a social experiment? Should we just say Trump?
And does that just be the clip?
Put it
just
in
Trump.
short and just let it all come in. Bring.
People spiraled. I hope they're doing okay now.
I don't know. We said Trump and we were talking about a felony and paying off a side piece, and all of a sudden now it's about gay people and women's rights and Christianity and
yeah. Yep.
Wow.
We're stupid.
We didn't say anything like that. My goodness.
Oh my gosh.
So dramatic.
Yes. I'm just gonna keep doing it. We're just gonna keep posting stuff.
We just Trump.
Trump. Yeah, let's just keep having Trump.
All right. What do we want to talk about today? We have lots of things.
We do.
I went on a rant, but let's talk about something a little lighter first.
I just have two little tidbits, I like to call them. I think everyone's aware that our boy Justin Timberlake didn't have the best week. He was recently arrested for a DWI in Sag Harbor, which is near the Hamptons. He pled not guilty, so I think he has to go back to court in July.
He also would not.
He wouldn't do the breathalyzer. He
wouldn't breathe. Yep, he refused to blow. That's what he refused to blow.
And then apparently, per some articles that I read, he failed all the field sobriety tests. So it wasn't great. And then again, I don't know what's true and what's not, but there's articles saying that the cop who pulled him over was so young he had no clue who he was, didn't know what NSYNC was.
Well, that's how it should be when you get pulled over.
Totally, you should not get any sort of special treatment, especially for something like that.
Well, first and foremost, he's coming from a hotel party with his buddies. You're 40 years old.
Time out. You're 40 years old. You have millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. You couldn't get an Uber or hire a driver?
I guess not.
We're just
he wanted to drive his fancy car home drunk. But once again, grow up and be a man. You have children and a wife. What are you doing at a hotel party like you're at the prom, okay?
Right. And then gallivant.
Oh, we're going to watch this one again?
I don't know where that came from. And then gallivanting around, I got to show you. And then, of course.
Like a teenager. I mean, just
like a teenager.
Grow up.
But
I love Justin. But
I love when things I don't love that this happened, but I do love the internet when things like this happen. I got some just golds. So it says Justin Timberlake. This is him. And this is when the cops were having him pull out.
This is the field sobriety test. That guy's a good dancer.
He is. Can you just picture that though, JT being hold up.
That's funny that the lyrics are "Give me a chance to be a man."
And then I got more because this is all me and my one friend have been doing all week. Again, internet's
I do love Justin, though.
I love him too, but it's just unfortunate. But there's this one that says
his mugshot, man. His eyes were bloodshot.
And now there's a bunch of memes saying, "This is the one martini that he had, by the way."
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard.
Because he said he had one martini, and so people, of course, are throwing this out. And then there was
that's great.
NSYNC point of view. NSYNC coming to bail out Justin once he gets out of jail. It's
the Hangover
people. Oh my God, I can't stop with it.
A Gangster in Paradise.
Oh,
it's a great song.
And then this one. This is such an old.
Wow, you two really have been going back and forth.
We've been going back and forth.
This is where all your spare time goes.
Yeah. This is nobody. Justin Timberlake on a random Monday night.
All right. Well, you got pretty good balance.
Thank you.
I want you to step, bump, step, bump, bump, step, bump, step, bump, bump. 5, 6, 7, 8. Step, bump, step, bump, bump, step, bump,
good.
Step, bump, bump. Pot of beret. Kickball change. Step, clap.
Okay.
5, 6,
okay.
7, 8.
You know what would be good is if you
hip kick, and then you kind of do that, and then a barrel turn, and then ha!
Is that real?
No, I think it's from it. What's that show? Reno. I don't know.
That is fantastic.
If that was real, I'd be like, you know what, sir? I'll drive you home.
Right. God
You're
bless
good.
them both.
You're
Right.
good. You're a gem.
And that he knew the technical term to a barrel turn.
Yeah.
Well
He's like
done,
adding to the
sir.
choreography.
Well done.
Yeah, so that's, JT. We'll see what happens. I mean, his lawyer has come out now saying, we're going to, aggressively defend him and,
How
make
about
sure
you
he
just
gets
pay
out
the
of this.
DWI and
Just-
take
It's
the...
nothing off your back. Pay it. Own up to it also. Like, you made a mistake, a really stupid one,
You got caught.
and you got caught, and you didn't get off for it.
I mean, that's what DWIs are. You got caught.
Well, right. And
Lots of us do
something
it.
like
you got
that.
caught.
Yes. So,
But you're 40, so...
he's 43, I think. Yeah. Get it together, man.
I just don't understand why you're at a hotel party with your buds.
He's on tour.
It's like what you did
He's
for
on his
prom.
world tour.
Is
I
he
think-
really?
Yeah, because there was another article, or
I didn't know he was
again,
on tour.
this is allegedly when he was getting pulled over and he was talking to the cop. This is, again, not sure if this happened, but he mumbled under his breath, "This is going to ruin the world tour." Like, okay. So, yeah, he's on tour. So he's living his best life.
Okay.
Anyway,
Whoops.
yeah, whoops for you. And then just because
Step, bump, step,
Pada
bump,
boom,
bump.
ray. Because we're still in the month of June.
Celebrating how people have sex.
Celebrating that, I just, because this is our team, the Buffalo Bills are sponsoring a chapter of the National Gay Flag Football League.
Okay, first and foremost, I would love to watch this. I just picture, remember the person we had on the last episode in the fairy costume with the wand?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. What if that was like one jersey, one costume choice, and then the other ones had to do like...
She was a fairy. Oh, yes.
Is this it?
So the National Gay Flag Football League was founded in 2002 to promote the positive social and athletic enjoyment of American flag football, naturally. The league spans 27 cities and 4,000 players across North America.
And of course the jerseys are pink.
So of course, football is love, and the Buffalo Bills are joining other teams like the Patriots, Giants, Jets, Dolphins, Cardinals, Bears, in helping grow the league.
I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, I mean, hey, then maybe the transgender people will have a sport. I mean, the Bills haven't won a Super Bowl in 400 years, so
they're dabbling in other areas.
they have to do something.
Well, they've actually never won a Super Bowl, so
That's
Wait, I
right.
thought they
That's what I
have.
said, 400 years.
Yeah.
No, they've never won.
Okay.
They've
they've
very
lost four
close.
straight. The only team to do that.
Well, we got that going for us.
Okay, my question is, how many more years does Sean McDermott have before he gets the oust? I think he's got one more year, and then he's getting fired. Crickets from both of you.
Sure.
No, I think that's probably correct.
I mean, he's gotten them back into the playoffs, but they can't seem to get past like the first or second round because their quarterback keeps choking.
We're going to get to it, but in the words of Senator Kennedy, just shove that up your fact checker. Oh, I love that man.
I've watched more of Senator Kennedy this week than
He's an icon.
I ever thought I would.
He's an icon. Anyway, I guess, do you want to get into the more serious?
Sure. Which one do you want to start with, the COVID or the...
Doesn't matter.
The COVID.
The COVID.
Let's do COVID.
Okay.
I didn't do anything on this story, so...
Well...
Because to me, this is like so...
Like we knew this?
Like, duh.
Right.
Like, I'm bored.
So now there's studies coming out and articles coming out, to everyone's surprise, that the COVID vaccines could have contributed to excess deaths in the U.S. and other Western countries in the 3 years since the pandemic took hold. This is from a new study that argues that world leaders and policymakers need to thoroughly investigate.
But they won't. Who's going to
Correct.
investigate it?
No one. Or they're going to say they're investigating it and it's going to last for, until the end of time.
I mean, Fauci is still doing interviews. These
Correct.
softball interviews about,
Correct.
Oh my God, and the things he's saying. Oh, well, it was a moving target, so we didn't know what we know. You acted like you knew, and that's not what you said when you came out. So you didn't get out there and say, listen, guys, this is very tricky. This is very complex. Like, things can change. You got out there, and you basically had people ticketed for not wearing masks. You had people
ousted if you didn't
get a vaccine. You had people lose their jobs. Restaurants close. You destroyed relationships over this. So don't sit there now and say you were part of a moving target and we didn't know. That's not what you said.
That's not what was said.
I hate that little man.
And that's not how they made people
I hate
feel.
that I had a Fauci donut.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like that's when all my weight started to come
Shame on you. Someone put a hex on you.
I mean, the donut was good.
It's pathetic. I think it's awful, especially when you know there's so many people out there that lost loved ones or weren't able to see loved ones when they were ill.
Isolated.
I mean, it's awful what this entire country, world went through with all of that. But now everyone that was pushing this on you or making you feel like you are going to kill your entire family if you don't get a vaccine. Now we're saying, oh, well, we didn't know the facts. We were just trying to help. We didn't know. Really? So, of those excess deaths, there is more than 1 million that occurred in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. Those figures, they remained high, but the following year, so in 2021, there was 1.2 million, and then 2022, 800,000. The death toll figures include fatalities directly linked to the virus, as well as indirect effects of the health strategies to address the virus spread.
Well, what they're finding now is that this vaccine, which I don't think was a bad thing, I think the way they shoved it onto everyone was a bad thing. But what they're finding now is that vaccine has elevated the spike protein in a lot of people that continue to get this vaccine over and over and over again, and therefore they're more susceptible to a lot of things, not just COVID.
No,
and
heart issues.
I'm going to break down my year for you. What's happened? Well, no, because I didn't have the vaccine, so I'm not even going to go there. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
I was going to say, did you?
I didn't get the vaccine.
Yeah, I know you didn't.
But I have all these weird virus. Like I've been on antibiotics more this year because of all these weird viruses I've got.
Yeah, I think for us it was last year. All of these random illnesses, I feel like, and even my kids, which none of us got this vaccine.
Can I ask a question? You have children. Side note. There's like this, everybody, including myself, got sick this summer, like in the beginning of the heat. I don't remember that ever happening. And there's like this.
Was like a cold or?
There's respiratory illnesses now going around in the summer.
Well, now I've been hearing about whooping cough. Apparently that's going around.
I've never, I don't know.
We shockingly have been okay, but last year was brutal. It was one thing after the other, and I'm like, what is going on? It was something new each time.
Mm-hmm. I just don't remember it being like that.
Me neither. And what they should have done, I agree with you. I don't think the vaccine was a bad idea. Of course, I do believe they were trying to figure out something that could help because this was obviously terrifying. But what they should have done, instead of forcing this on people, was because they didn't have data to understand. There had not been around long. It was a brand new vaccine. We didn't have data to say this could cause this. So they should have been truthful about that and said, listen, we're hoping we've done this quick studies on this. It could potentially help with this virus. However, we don't know what the long-term effects are. But of course, they were giving out those pamphlets when you get the vaccine that were blank. Like, no one wanted to be truthful about this.
I feel like the vaccine, because do you ever watch like a medical commercial and then like literally 80% of the commercials, all the things that could happen, all the sides.
And they're speed reading
You could die, your stomach could fall out, your intestines
your
could
doctor
rip apart.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what they needed to do with the vaccine. They
yes.
make everything else do it. And once again, with the vaccine, not a bad idea because they scared the shit out of everyone, so they had to do something to address that. But it was the opposite than everything else we do in our life, which is like gather all the information and then put it out.
And also, we skipped right past the other current medications and drugs that could potentially have helped, like the ivermectin of the world. Like, we wanted to skip that and say, nope, that's a horse dewormer. If you're taking that, you're a loony bin. Now, years later,
Now it's very effective.
Years later, you're hearing about how great it is. Really? Mm-hmm. Because back then, you had to call this, like, America's Frontline Doctor.org or .com to get this prescription because no one would give it to people. But we wanted to bypass that and just jump to this new vaccine, which, again, not saying was a bad idea, but we didn't want to even entertain the thought of anything else that could potentially also help people.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are people like me and you that were like, I'll do the vaccine in a little bit of time when you give me some information on it. Or I'm happy to do a vaccine that's been time tested and shared, and we know that it's not going to like murder a ton of people. I mean, but I watched this one podcast where every time she does like any type of health news article, the guy in the background, like the AJ version, is like, "It's a vaccine. It's a vaccine. Bet you it's not the vax, but it's not the vax."
Well, that's what everyone jumps to now. When you see these articles about the healthy athletes dying or the news anchors that just topple over when they're in the middle of speaking, you know, everyone's jumping to the vaccine. Which, you know, is it not? I don't know. But
well, the mRNA vaccine is not the greatest technology in the world. I think that it serves a function in some way, shape, or form, but to shove it into every human body very quickly over and over again was not smart. And I don't know why they did it. Because you're going to have a really hard time convincing the general public from here on out that you need something that government is trying to deem. Like, the fact that the government was like, no, we're going to save you, not your own body, was a little bit backwards to a lot of people.
Right.
So I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, this is the scary part going forward, right? Because of the way they did it, how they forced it on many, many people, how they shamed people for not getting it. What happens the next time? Government needs to be an interventionist and come in and also say the next greatest pandemic are going to need to get this. The trust is gone. The trust is totally gone.
You know, I kind of think they shot themselves in the foot a little bit because that's really at least with this administration's message is like, you can never do anything on your own. You need government to help you get there. And unfortunately, when they did what they did with the vaccine, they're going to have a much more uphill battle in trying to convince people that you need the government to get to where you need to go. So
how could it not? Can you imagine them putting out a new vaccine for what's next, the avian flu or whatever that's going to kill us next, and then being like, yeah, let me jump on that because the COVID vaccines went so well.
Exactly. So unfortunately, it's like that old story, crying wolf. I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot here. Now, that's just the vaccine outcomes. That's just the vaccine long-term effects, which we still don't even know long-term effects. Let's talk about the mental health problems that are going on after what we did during COVID. We just adopted policies from China, expected that everyone would just fall in line here and that we would just shut up and not say anything about it. The problem is we're not China.
Right.
We're not a communist country. And as to their dismay after suppressing all this information, it does all come out eventually. The truth does make its way to the surface. And now we have a massive mental health crisis happening in the United States, specifically with our youngin' people.
Yep.
I thought the article you wanted us to cover, but apparently I was wrong.
Well, we can talk about it.
So I didn't know, because I actually thought you were going to cover the article, so that was the only little blip. But the mental health diagnosis in children has skyrocketed since the COVID pandemic, led by gender dysphoria and eating disorders. Like, once again, when you isolate children and you don't let them grow up naturally like they should, they're all just, take child actors, for example.
Right.
They're all a little messed up now. This was a Fox News report done by Melissa Rudy. Social media is destroying the world one child at a time, basically.
Well, yeah, and what happened too when COVID happened, right? And this, I think this affected kids from as young as kindergarten, first grade, and then obviously up through high school, which probably I can't even imagine was the worst. You have people isolated now, can't go to school, can't see your friends, and for some kids, that's their only outlet. That's their only way to get interaction with other people, or maybe to have some normalcy in their life, or to get a meal. You don't know. What
and Megan, what happens when children are locked inside their homes and isolated? What do?
They're going to be, well, that's what I was just going to say. They're on some sort of device,
social media.
Because not only were you locked, you couldn't go to school. the whole world was shut down. So you couldn't just, let's go hang out at the movie theater or let's go to the mall. No, you couldn't do any of that. So of course, when and if parents are working, they're going to just watch TV, go on your iPad, go on the phones. And for the critical, all ages are critical, but the young teens to upper teens that are on social media apps have access to that, I think was the most detrimental thing possible for these kids. And you're seeing it years later. I sometimes scroll through and I'm seeing kids as young as like 11, 12, 13 with their own accounts doing get ready with me, morning routines. I just saw one last night. This girl literally looked a little bit, maybe a year or two older than my oldest daughter, who's 8. And I was like, what is this? And where are her parents? And why does she have her own phone? And why does she have the drunk elephant skincare?
Love drunk elephant.
Right. But we're talking like 11, 12-year-old who's doing her hair and get ready and like wanting to look a certain way. And I'm like, what are we doing? The brain, you just see it like rotting away.
Well, we've turned centering around ourselves into self-centeredness.
But when that happens to you,
they want to be an influencer.
They want, but everything turns into a like. How can I get popularity? Or it turns into, because people are nasty online, like the bullying, which like that's why suicide rates are up.
Well, look at what they said about us.
Look what they said about us. How dare you? I cried that night. No, but when you're young like that and you're getting like nasty, because everyone thinks that they can be a keyboard warrior when they're in their basement of their parents' house.
Or a phone warrior.
Yeah. And they just, and I see it because I'm on social media, but like, it could be someone literally like talking about the new curtains they got in their home and someone's like, you need to lose weight. Like people are just unhinged. They'll be like, those are ugly. Your whole house is ugly. Like, and I'm like, what is wrong with society?
Well, they think that that's what society actually is. When, by the way, when you walk out into the real world, it's not like that at all.
It's not.
It is not like The Housewives. It is not like Love Island. It is not like Vanderpump. Real life is actually much more calmer, much more boring, much more friendlier.
Well, for some.
So you have these kids buried in their phones for 4 to 6 hours a day, scrolling negative.
Or if they're constantly getting bullied,
it's like watching CNN.
Of course, that's gonna do something to you.
Well, it's brainwashing you.
It's sad.
So one of the clips I have later when we get into like best moments in our politics, which is really just me watching congressional hearings all day, is they were grilling Mark Zuckerberg over the damage he's done to children, and he just really doesn't care.
No, of course he doesn't care.
But the pandemic did so much damage, not just with the vaccine, not just with the policies that were unleashed, not with the isolation and the lockdowns, but it killed our children's mental health. And now there's not enough support to help them get back to where they need to get back. And you know what? Parents are not as involved as you are, Megan. No. There's a lot of absent parenting out there. I'm sure that'll cause a couple of reams and comments.
It happens though, and like I said, during the pandemic, like if you got 2 full-time working parents that needed to keep their jobs, and you have children, and don't have flexibility, like we were fortunate to have some flexibility during that time, thankfully, because I don't know how people did it without it, and it's not like one of us could just quit our job. So, and I know people lost their jobs, but if you are trying to work, or even if you're a single parent, and you have kids in school that needed to learn online for an hour of the day, it's very easy to, like, check in on them maybe a couple hours. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what they're doing. They're locked in their room. You're trying to get your stuff done. I get it. But these days, with the stuff that goes on in this little device, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't give them access. I mean, I could talk about this till I'm blue in the face, but
it's a serious issue.
It's bad. It's very bad.
It's serious. It's and we're so far down the rabbit hole at this point. What do we do now? Banning TikTok? Okay.
But then there's 500 other apps.
So but
you're not even banning TikTok for that reason. You're banning TikTok
because it's China's data. Like
Chinese can have access to your data, so it's not even like the government's worried about
your health, your mental health.
Yeah, what's actually on the subject matter that's on the site.
Yeah, we can save the world. We just have to get rid of social media. Anyway, all right, let's move on to the next one. This one sent me off the deep end.
Yeah.
This was Tuesday. I just was like on my keyboard, like just so up. I don't know, maybe I might have a different view than everyone else on this one.
What's your view?
I don't care. I don't care about all the intricacies of this lunatic.
We're talking about the Nashville shooter, by the way.
Topic being.
That could apply to a lot of things, but
I don't care about all of this political identity crap. Why don't we just call this what it is, and it's freaking murder?
correct.
I don't care about all this other superfluous shit.
And why did that have to happen for this case? What? There were 6 innocent lives taken that day. Who cares if Audrey Hale or whatever the hell this person's name was identified as a male?
Well, do you remember when this story first came out? There was this whole debate over they used the wrong pronouns. Are you effing
Do you remember
kidding me?
that was more of a bigger focus when the news story broke than the people that were murdered?
Who cares what this person wants to be called? So I always was, like, what if we just did like the Next American Experiment and we stopped using any political identity when we start to like relay this stuff to the public?
You would think that's just common.
Well, let me
sense.
read it to you, and let me just get your opinion of what you think this is. On March 27th, 2023, a 28-year-old shooter walked into a school with 3 guns, proceeded to randomly shoot and kill 3 children and 3 adults. The victims were found in different locations. The custodian was struck when the shooter sprayed rounds at the glass door to enter, and the head of school was found in the hallway. There was a clear intent to kill due to the finding of a manifesto and map of the school found that showcased the incredible planning effort behind the shooting. The assailant was currently under a doctor's care for emotional distress. There's the picture of the victims.
Now, do you think if the shooter was a straight white male?
Why do we care?
But if that was the case, do you think we would be wording it that way?
You mean what I just read?
Yeah, in the media, do you think they would be saying the
Yes.
shooter, or you don't think they'd be calling out that it was a white male, straight person?
I don't know what the news does anymore.
I guarantee you they would have.
I don't know what
guaranteed
the
it.
news does anymore. But there was such
Well, the first thing they would have looked into is he a conservative Trump supporter? I can guarantee
Totally.
you that.
Totally.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we do know the facts about this shooter because that was so in focus, which was this was a transgender, whatever they wanted to be. I don't know. So I get that people want a motive. Like, I get that because I would want one too. But the person shot children and faculty staff for no reason other than hate and anger. And
Correct.
remember, when they were reporting on this story, they really only gave a shit about the political identity of the shooter.
Yep.
Yep. They didn't there was a debate on television over the pronouns.
Mm-hmm. And people defending the shooter and making sure that they were called by the correct pronoun, rather than discussing the 6 people that died because this person is mentally ill. Like, the
second you walk into a school with a gun, I forfeit every ounce of me giving a shit of what you want to be called and your pronouns. I don't care. I think that you're sad and pathetic to begin, and that you deserve to be wiped off the face of this earth when you start to shoot at children.
Right. But we couldn't talk about that. We had to wait 15 months for the manifesto, for all that information to be released. Why?
I don't know.
All for it to just show that this person, like you said, was filled with anger and hate for their own self and their own gender ideology and against the people who viewed it differently than them. That is the reason behind this.
I mean, have we lost sight that we are so addicted to political identity that we can't call things like they are? Like, evil is evil, hate is hate, and this person hated.
Correct.
She hated men. I don't know if you read that little page. If I blew it up trying to read it, but most importantly, they hated themselves. But this person really hated men. Clearly had daddy issues. Mm-hmm. My question is, you see the mother commenting, but there's no comments from the father. Where's the father in this picture? Is this just another scenario of a missing father? I don't know. But this country wants to turn it into some bullshit discussion regarding guns, trans people, and whatever else they can come up with to distract at the fact that this person needed to be wiped off the face of the earth. This person was legit crazy. Batshit
crazy and had been planning this out. It was not a spur of the moment because according to the notebooks, the journal entries that they found, she had been planning this.
She's crazy.
There was one day I think whatever the hell this person is, tried to go to the school and they were closed for, I think, a holiday, and they wrote that down like, oh, Covenant School was closed today, So they were waiting. They were calculated. They had every intention to go in there and kill a bunch of people.
They were also planning to go to another school.
Right.
They, he, she, whatever this absolute lunatic wants to be called, don't even give a shit about it. So now they're coming out with these stories about, he was fantasizing to have a penis. Okay, crazy.
Crazy.
Writes that sex is an act of violence. Okay, crazy.
Yeah.
Hates men but wants to be one. Okay,
Yep.
Fucking crazy. These people belong in mental institutions. Yep. And we want to focus on what pronoun they need to be called.
No, because this goes against everything that's being shoved down our throat right now about, being who you are, transgender, queer, gay, whatever. Like, it's been thrown in our face for quite some time now. And this goes against all of what they're trying to put out into the world for this group of people. And I feel bad for the people that
are
trans and gay and whatever, that just want to live their lives and aren't part of this whole insane movement. Because I know there's many out there, and that's how you should be. But this is and there's been many other things since this shooting, maybe not necessarily school shootings, that have come out, and when you look into the facts, they happen to be transgender, violent acts, transgender, things that happen at school bathrooms. Why is that happening? But we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to put it where it is, and it's disgusting.
Doesn't make any sense. Let's just, for shits and giggles, let's go through this very bizarre page that they're now releasing because they're shocked that this person's crazy.
Shocked. Stunned.
So my biggest hang up on this is if you read this, they hate men. My gender was so influenced by a need to be used by men. Gay isn't, it was it's very hard to read.
I'm impressed.
Awful handwriting. Awful handwriting. But basically it goes down and it's about hating men. I've been used as a woman by a man. But they want to be a man. Can somebody explain that to me?
I don't get it.
So this doctor who got this care of this individual, I put a lot of responsibility on this doctor who, you didn't see this coming. It's clear how much this person hates and is vindictive and vengeful. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So I have no patience for this. I don't care about this person. I don't care about their pronouns. I'm glad they're gone off the face of this earth. They're exactly where they belong, not in society
And it ain't
anymore.
upstairs.
So
yeah,
spare me the bullshit on you feel offended because somebody who murdered children and adults has a specific pronoun. I'm bored. Go save it for someone else because I don't care. I'm going to call it for what it is, and it's murder.
It is murder.
It's straight up murder.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox about that one. I'm bored. Get over it. Murder is murder.
Why did it take so long to release that?
I don't know.
Because everything is...
It's proving what everyone was saying from the beginning.
What did you say? Because the world we live in is... You used to say this. Oh, it was a saying you had. It was kind of funny.
Well, I mean, is that why we're still waiting for the Jeffrey Epstein manifest and lists of people who... Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Yeah.
But we got Trump on trial for...
Which Jeffrey Epstein, there's someone that just came forward. I heard an article allegedly that they are now coming forward. They worked on one of the flights that Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton were on with all these young girls.
I think Bill Clinton was a frequent flyer.
I think
He was. There's a
much.
picture of him at the house there, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, this is
In,
the
like,
same Bill
stockings and
Clinton, same Bill Clinton that had sex with a 21-year-old
Correct.
intern. And you've got people that were triggered on the other episode about supporting Trump, but he's a felon.
Yeah.
These are the people you want to just wish you had a switch. because they're not even relevant. They're not even worth listening to.
Correct.
They don't care if the person is has a D after their name or comes from a certain narrative. But if they're a conservative Republican, once they're labeled a criminal, once there's rumors out them doing something maybe they shouldn't have done, they have to be locked up. They're not worth
and it's only
a
because
place in society.
someone told them to think that
so
way.
So these
That's
people are just ignoramuses, and they waste too much of our time when you talk about them. They're waste.
What is an
They're
ignoramus?
waste. You're trash.
You two. What is an ignoramus?
An idiot.
People that are ignorant to the facts.
It's a good word.
They don't care about facts when they relate, when they go against their narrative, but they certainly care about them when it serves them.
Well, it's called biased. So people are just like natural. I think people are naturally biased, and the world we live in today just absolutely feeds their bias.
Right. Like, remember all the New Yorkers that just couldn't wait to get behind their idiot of a governor, Kathy Hochul, who said, we're a sanctuary state. Send us your illegals. And then when Texas said, okay, we will, all of a sudden Kathy Hochul's out there going after months of them being bussed up there. Please stop. We can't take anymore. Well, did you care about Texans? Did you care about all those Texas little towns on the border? Did you care about the Arizonians that had to put up with this crap?
Why would they care?
But that's just it. You don't care unless it affects you. Yeah. And we don't need people like that. This country doesn't need people like that.
We need more people like Senator Kennedy.
Yeah.
Is what we need.
Yeah. Let's talk about Kennedy.
That's who we need.
We wanted to highlight a couple of lawmakers that I find fantastic and interesting to listen to. Mm-hmm. I tend to line up with their mindset and the way that they think. This gentleman is one of them. I have a nice little introduction video to Mr. Kennedy.
I have the right to remain silent, but I don't have the ability. I cared about two things in high school. I cared about basketball and I cared about cheerleaders. I'm convinced most of my colleagues believe in God and the rest think they are God. And I can state categorically, unequivocally, Denzel Washington is one of the 5 coolest people in the world.
Oh,
Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga.
You want to meet Lady Gaga?
That's who I want to meet. And I love Pulp Fiction.
Do you really?
Yeah, sometimes the Senate is like a scene from Pulp Fiction. The federal budget's like a cow. There's not a big chunk of fat there. The fat is marbled throughout the animal. I mean, I've driven all over Washington. I can't find the money tree. Now, the president has blamed inflation on everything. He blamed inflation on COVID. But I don't see people going around coughing inflation on each other. Nobody believes it. But that's also why his poll numbers are on a journey to the center of the earth, because they think the American people are morons. I took her car the other day to fill it up. My car fainted. I don't know, guys, gals, it. What am I supposed to say anymore? I don't know. But, sometimes I say, always be yourself unless you can be Batman or Batwoman. America is the greatest country in all of human history. I cannot imagine what this world would be like without the United States of America. They think that, well, only the federal government can make America great. You know what made America great? Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. That always will be the case and always will.
I have a little clip
That's
too.
Senator Kennedy.
I have a little Kennedy clip too.
You do? Let's see your Kennedy. Because the rest of my clips are quite long.
Yeah, mine's quick. It's just like
a quick one, I think. He just has he's really the only one that could ever get away with saying what he says.
I just love the way he says things and like the phrases he comes up with. It's just they're gold.
Because you have to you let it land and then you're like, yeah,
he's right.
Yeah.
Goat's milk latte drinking, avocado toast eating. Life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid. Can I take cocaine with my spouse?
No, sir. No, sir.
I did not call Senator Sanders an ignorant slut. I'm not talking about buying it, but let's suppose I came in one day and the cocaine was there. People who are are bilingual. They speak English and stupid. I don't know why we have to give money to countries that hate us. They should be able to hate us for free. Looks like we're giving Lindsay Lohan the keys to the minibar. Frankly, I can't, because I can't get my head that far up my rear end. Stick it up there, fact checker. They can kiss my ass. Somebody at the White House has been smoking the devil's lettuce. Okay, we cannot run the greatest economy by putting fairy dust and unicorn urine in our cars. Urinate to get off the pot. My car doesn't run off fairy dust. I don't mean disrespect, but the mayor needs to take her meds.
Wait. I think I might have something similar.
If you need help, call the crackhead.
I do not hate anyone. I look for grace wherever I can find it. So I say this gently. The Biden administration sucks. You measure it any way you want. COVID, the economy, inflation, the national debt, the border, crime, cancel culture, treating parents like domestic terrorists. Afghanistan, our energy independence, now lost. My God. President Biden has been spectacularly awful. If you put President Biden in charge of the Sahara Desert, he would run out of sand.
Oh, my God.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. It always sounds like he's, like, giving a sermon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so then I kind of pulled a couple of other things. I don't even know what that one is.
No safe way to smoke crack.
Yeah, so this is a little bit longer.
Here with reaction, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. You know, the original Free Beacon article, Senator, I don't know, maybe I've been doing this job for way too long. 33 years in radio, 26 years here at Fox, but call me suspicious. I suspect that the crack pipe was included for meth and crack users, but the pushback maybe made them think twice. Your thoughts?
Once again, intelligence is chasing the Biden administration, but the Biden administration is managing to beat it. This entire controversy, in my judgment, Sean, is why millions of Americans tonight are thinking, Republicans aren't perfect, and God knows we're not. But the other side is crazy. Now think about this. President Biden has decided to take $30 million of taxpayer money from his emergency COVID bill that he passed with Democratic support last March, and he wants to use it to facilitate the smoking of crack cocaine and meth in the name of racial justice, racial equity. He says, his people say they can make the smoking of crack cocaine and meth safer. First, why are they using COVID money? Number two, why are they using any money at all? There's no safe way to smoke crack or meth. Sooner or later, it kills you. And that's just a fact. Why do we want to facilitate it? Why Americans are asking themselves, wouldn't we take this money and use it to help people get off the illicit drugs? Why wouldn't we take this money, the American people are asking themselves, and use it to stop the drugs from coming in our country in the first place by securing the border?
Okay, so once again, as I'm watching this, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this country that I'm not even aware of. So, yeah, we're paying for people to smoke crack.
Love it.
Let's see. What else can we watch? By the way, he's one of the most interesting senators to watch question judicial nominees or any of the hearings that go on with any of the committees.
He's actually been great at some of these judicial hearings.
And the other one I really like is Josh Hawley, who I've also
Yes.
pulled. Did you happen to see, which we're going to watch in a little bit, Josh Hawley's grilling of the Boeing CEO?
Oh, I missed that.
Fantastic. We're going to watch that today, too.
Ms. I can't see your name. I can't see.
Hopper.
Ms. Hopper. Ms. Hopper, I love solar energy. I just want you to know that. And I love electric cars. But I got to ask you this question. I've been waiting to ask this. If electric cars are so swell, how come government has to pay people to drive them?
So I think, as like most government policies, right, are put in place to incent certain behaviors, and so that's part of the policy is that if we want more electric
but if they're
cars,
so swell, why couldn't they, in a competitive market, people, why wouldn't they be choosing electric cars over internal combustion engine cars?
I think
Why do we have to pay people to drive them?
But I wouldn't characterize it as paying people to drive them, but I would.
Well, sure we are. We're
I
giving
would
a big old
characterize
tax
it
credit.
as the government having a policy to incent more purchase of electric vehicles.
Okay.
Senator
I'm out of
Stabenow.
time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy.
This is another one. I think I have a timestamp for this one. Hang on. I have a few longer ones. This one's great, but it's a little bit longer. This is Josh Hawley. We'll keep Josh Hawley in our back pockets for now. Do you want to watch the whole thing through? They're fascinating.
Which one?
And we can cut down.
Josh Hawley?
No, both. The rest that I have left.
We can watch them.
Okay, and we'll cut down.
Yeah,
the
we can
best
figure out
parts.
what we like.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, you were there, Ms. Franklin, right? You weren't there?
No, Senator.
Okay, well, when you both get there, I wish you would talk to your colleagues over there. They ought to hide their heads in a bag. They're in charge of protecting American civil liberties and privacy, and it doesn't matter who you are. And they sat there sucking on their teeth like a bump on a log and never said a word. I'm done. Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, and I like your haircut.
Haven't had one in a while. Thank you, Senator Kennedy. And I'd just like to say to those who are new to this environment that the mini bar exam that Senator Kennedy gives to many of these.
All right, so that's that one. Okay, this one's a longer one. Sorry. I had the timestamp for that other one.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to all of our witnesses here today. Ms. Robinson, I want to follow up by trying to understand your answer to one of Senator Cruz's questions. And this is really a question, not a suggestion. Do I understand your position to be that there are two sexes, but there can be more than two genders?
I wouldn't even say two, and we've got Dr. Lopez here as well, but there's also the definition of intersex. I think that often in these conversations we're conflating sex and gender, and I do want to affirm here that trans women are women. That is their gender.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
Okay, but I'm trying to understand. Do you make a distinction between sex and gender?
Yes, sir.
Okay, explain that. Do you think there are more than two sexes?
I believe that there's a definition for intersex as well that I want to acknowledge. But sex is assigned at birth.
Three? I'm just trying to understand. I'm thoroughly confused. So you're born, I'm talking about biology, male, female, and what else?
I believe that intersex is also acknowledged. But again, I'm not a doctor here. What I can
and
say
what does intersex mean?
Is that there's a difference between sex and gender. And I think
what are you saying?
In these conversations, we're conflating the two.
Well, but I want to start with sex. Okay, there's male, there's female. When a baby's born, before the baby has had time to even have a sense of self, there's male, female, and intersex. There's a third say?
I believe that is true, but I would defer to Dr. Lopez as I'm not a physician.
Okay. And how many genders are there?
I think the gender is expansive, and the definitions are always growing. Today I can tell you, I talk to young people that talk about non-binary as
more than 5.
I think the gender is not a binary, is what I'm trying to say.
Are there more than 5 genders? I'm just trying to understand. Are there more than 5 genders?
Well, I mean, I think that there was a time where women wearing pants didn't feel like it was appropriate for their gender, and yet I'm wearing pants today. I think that there are ways that we express our gender that are expansive.
Are there more than 5?
I wouldn't subject myself to naming how many genders there are, but why? What I can say is that gender is a reflection.
Number?
Excuse me?
There's an infinite number of genders?
I think depending on your culture, there are a lot of different genders that exist. And I can also say that it's a term that's evolving. If you look at young people today, they really don't lean into the binary of only woman and man. So I think that it's incumbent upon us not to legislate on this, but create space for them to explore what their identities are, what their
I heard that. I wish I didn't hear that, but I just heard that.
Gender identities are.
Let's get back to athletics. I think I understand what you're saying. There are 3 sexes, male, female, and intersex.
I believe that to be true, but again, I'm not a physician.
And there are an infinite number of genders because gender is a mental state.
Gender is about expression, and I think that there are a variety of ways that you can express your gender.
How? Okay, so there's infinite number. All right, let's go back to the biology. Male, female, boy, girl, okay? Biologically, do males have an advantage over females biologically in sports?
Again, I'm not a physician, and I can't speak to that.
I don't believe you.
What's your real-world experience?
It depends. I mean, there are some people who are born male that I'm faster than if I were to sprint against them, and some that I'm not. Some males that are taller than some women, and some that are shorter.
You don't believe that a biological male has a physical advantage in sports over a biological female?
Not as a definitive statement.
Give me an example. Well, no, I don't think. How many female members of the NBA do you see?
Well, I can say that, there's been this news article about men that think that they could beat Serena Williams in tennis.
I see.
Right? That they think that they could actually score a point on her. And it's just not the case. She is stronger than that.
What's your experience, Ben? Male, female?
Both Serena and Venus lost to the 203rd ranked male tennis player, which they're phenoms for women. My experience, my husband, he swam at University of Kentucky as well. In terms of accolades and in terms of national ranking, I was a much better swimmer than him. He could kick my butt any day of the week without trying.
Interesting, right? There you go. I thought that one was interesting because he's just thoroughly confused, like the rest of the world.
But that woman couldn't even give an answer.
No, she wasn't giving an answer. She was just dancing around it. Because she doesn't know. Because
they don't know.
It's what they want to make up in the moment. That's totally acceptable.
But this is the crap that they're teaching, that they're saying in schools to kids who truly don't understand.
Mm-hmm. What is intersex? Is that when you have male and female genitalia?
Yes, I think.
I'm gonna assume.
I have no.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is, unless there's something new.
All right, I think we've shown you enough of Senator Kennedy. Let's now move on to Mr. Josh Hawley, who I find so incredibly, do you ever get interested in how someone talks?
Yeah.
I find how he talks very, very, very interesting to watch. So this happened just recently, not yesterday, but the day before. They have the Boeing CEO in front of Congress right now, and they are grilling him on what's going on. And I thought Josh Hawley's performance here or questioning was fantastic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Calhoun, what is it that you get paid currently?
Senator, that's well disclosed in our proxy documents in each of the years that I've been employed.
Yeah, but what is it?
It's a big number, sir.
Well, let me help you out. It's $32.8 million this year. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does.
That's a 45% increase over last year. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does.
What is it you get paid to do exactly?
I get paid to run the Boeing company.
Yeah. So just help me understand that. I mean, do you get paid for transparency? Is that one of the metrics for your income?
I think the board counts on me for transparency.
Really? Because you're under investigation for falsifying 787 inspection records. The Boeing's under criminal investigation for the Alaska Airlines flight. You were investigated by DOJ for criminal conspiracy to defraud the FAA. This is all in your tenure. This doesn't sound like a lot of transparency to me. What about safety? Is that a component of your salary?
It sure is, Senator.
You know, have you seen the reports that the subcontractor that you used to make that door piece that fell out of the sky, that when the FAA went and toured the facility, they found one door seal being lubricated with Dawn liquid dish soap and cleaned with a wet cheesecloth, and another was being checked with a hotel room key card. Does that sound like safety to you?
Senator, I think our relationship with that particular supplier has been well documented, reviewed by the FAA, and most certainly us. And I'm very intent on acquiring that company so that none of that ever happens.
You know, the FAA also says that Boeing still has not implemented the recommended steps back from 2019 and 2020 after the MAX crashes. You still have not taken the appropriate safety procedures or implemented what they recommended. I mean, how, if safety is a component of your $33 million compensation package, I mean, how can you possibly qualify for any of this? What about quality? Is quality part of your compensation package?
Senator, I meet with the FAA pretty regularly. They don't hold anything back, and I'm not aware of anything that has been cited with respect to those accidents that we haven't taken action on.
Really? Because we've had whistleblowers. You said you'd listen to whistleblower testimony. We've had multiple whistleblowers come before this committee and allege that Boeing is cutting every possible corner on quality and safety, not just in the past, but now. They've alleged that you've eliminated safety inspections, that there are fewer in quality and there are fewer inspectors doing quality inspections out there. They've alleged that when they raised quality issues and concerns, they were reassigned, they were retaliated against, they were physically threatened. That doesn't sound like attention to quality to me. And yet you're getting paid $33 million a year. It's extraordinary.
Senator, we have increased our quality inspectors significantly.
How much has your stock price increased while you've been at Boeing?
It hasn't, and I don't watch it much.
Have you done any stock buybacks while you've been at Boeing?
Not in my job, no.
How about your profits? Have your profits increased at all while you've
I haven't had any profits, sir.
I'm sorry?
I have not had any profits.
Yeah. You know, I think the truth is, Mr. Calhoun, you're not focused on safety. You're not focused on quality. You're not focused on transparency. All of this is in the record. But I think actually you're focused on exactly what you were hired to do, which is that you're cutting corners. You are eliminating safety procedures. You are sticking it to your employees. You are cutting back jobs because you're trying to squeeze every piece of profit you can out of this country. This company. You're strip mining it. You're strip mining Boeing. It was one of the greatest American companies ever. It has employed thousands of people in my state. And you are strip mining it for profit, shareholder value, and you're being rewarded for it. You got a huge raise, a huge increase. So it's working out great for you. For the American people, they're in danger. For your workers, they're in peril. For your whistleblowers, they literally fear for their lives, but you're getting compensated like never before. Don't you think maybe your priorities are misplaced here? I mean, don't you think maybe it's time to get back to focusing on making quality planes and paying your workers well and taking care of the little guys who got you to where you are? That's not a rhetorical question.
Senator, I don't recognize any of the Boeing you described.
Really?
And I want to assure...
You don't recognize the Boeing that has airplanes falling out of the sky, that has had 2 MAXs crash, that has had pieces of doors fall out of the sky, that have had whistleblowers come before they've sat right where you have sat and told us, these are your employees, who have told us that when these are the engineers, by the way. Are you an engineer?
I'm not, sir.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And they have said that they're not listened to, that they're retaliated against, that they're threatened. That's the reality of Boeing today. That's your company that you have created. Now, I don't recognize it either from the company it used to be decades ago, but under your leadership, that's what Boeing is, and you're being rewarded for it handsomely. Handsomely. Don't you think there's something wrong with that? Why haven't you resigned?
Yeah, Senator, I stand by what I said, and I want to assure the great employees in your state that that is not the way we operate the company, and it never will be. And if you would like my chief engineer to talk about what he sees and
No,
hears,
I want to hear from you, because what I hear from you is a lot of this team does that and that team does that, and I listen to the whistleblowers, but I don't meet with them. And I've heard about all this stuff that you Congress have meddlesomely asked for because the public wants to see it. Gosh darn them, but you actually haven't supervised any of it. I've heard that. It's a lot of it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. But meanwhile, you're getting paid a heck of a lot of money. It's unbelievable. If anybody's coming out of this deal good, it's you. Why haven't you resigned?
Senator, I'm sticking this through. I'm proud of having taken the job. I'm proud of our
this
safety record, and I am
You're proud of this safety record
of our Boeing people.
You're proud of this safety record.
I am proud of every action we have taken.
Every action you've taken?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow. There's some news for you. Well, behind you can't see it. Behind you, the folks are showing pictures of the people who are the victims of your safety record. I think we can all see them. And I think the American public, when they fear to get on their airplanes, they understand your safety record. And frankly, sir, I think it's a travesty that you're still in your job.
Bam.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Well, I mean, the man makes $33 million a year.
Wild.
And planes are falling out of the sky. He looks like a weasel, that CEO. So
That is wild.
heads off to Josh Hawley. Now, he did just as good against Mark Zuckerberg. Would you like to watch that one a little bit?
Sure.
He gets Mark Zuckerberg to stand up, turn around, and apologize to the audience. You got to watch this.
Mark Zuckerberg is such. Ugh.
Mr. Zuckerberg, let me start with you. Did I hear you say in your opening statement that there's no link between mental health and social media use?
Senator, what I said is I think it's important to look at the science. I know people widely talk about this as if that is something that's already been proven, and I think that the bulk of the scientific evidence does not support that.
Well, really, let me just remind you of some of the science from your own company. Instagram studied the effect of your platform on teenagers. Let me just read you some quotes from the Wall Street Journal's report on this. Company researchers found that Instagram is harmful for a sizable percentage of teenagers, most notably teenage girls. Here's a quote from your own study. Quote, "We make body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls." Here's another quote. "Teens blamed Instagram," this is your study, "for increases in the rate of anxiety and depression. This reaction was unprompted and consistent across all groups." That's your study.
Senator, we try to understand the feedback and how people feel about the services. We can improve.
Wait a minute. Your own study says that you make life worse for 1 in 3 teenage girls. You increase anxiety and depression. That's what it says. And you're here testifying to us in public that there's no link. You've been doing this for years. For years, you've been coming in public and testifying under oath that there's absolutely no link. Your product is wonderful. The science is nascent, full speed ahead, while internally, you know full well your product is a disaster for teenagers.
Senator,
and yet
that's
you
not
keep
true.
right on doing what you're doing. Right?
That's not true. That's not true.
Let me show you some other facts I know that you're familiar with. Wait a minute. That's not a question. That's not a question. Those are facts, Mr. Zuckerberg. That's not a question.
Those aren't facts.
Let me show you some more facts. Here's some information from a whistleblower who came before the Senate, testified under oath in public. He worked for you. He's a senior executive. Here's what he showed he found when he studied your products. So, for example, this is girls between the ages of 13 and 15 years old. 37% of them reported that they had been exposed to nudity on the platform unwanted in the last 7 days. 24% said that they had experienced unwanted sexual advances they'd been propositioned in the last 7 days. 17% said they had encountered self-harm content pushed at them in the last 7 days. Now, I know you're familiar with these stats because he sent you an email where he lined it all out. I mean, we've got a copy of it right here. My question is, Who did you fire for this? Who got fired because of that?
Senator, we study all of this because it's important and we want to improve our services.
Well, you just told me
And
a second ago you studied it, that there was no linkage. Who did you fire?
I said you mischaracterized.
37% of teenage girls between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all
Who
these
did you
different
fire?
Tools. Senator, I don't think that's.
Who did you fire?
I'm not going to answer that.
Because you didn't fire anybody, right? You didn't take any significant
I don't
action.
think it's appropriate to talk about like
It's not
individual
appropriate.
HR decisions.
Do you know who's sitting behind you? You've got families from across the nation whose children are either severely harmed or gone, and you don't think it's appropriate to talk about steps that you took? The fact that you didn't fire a single person? Let me ask you this. Have you compensated any of the victims?
Sorry?
Have you compensated any of the victims? These girls, have you compensated them?
I don't believe so.
Why not? Don't you think they deserve some compensation for what your platform has done? Help
Senator,
with counseling services? Help with dealing with the issues that your services caused?
Our job is to make sure that we build tools to help keep people safe.
Are you going to compensate them?
Senator, our job and what we take seriously is making sure that we build industry-leading tools to find harmful content,
make money.
take it off the services,
To make money.
and to build tools that empower parents.
So you
that
didn't
help
take
work
any
with-
action. You didn't
That's
take
not
any
true,
action. You
Senator.
didn't fire anybody. You haven't
It's not
compensated
true.
a
That's
single
not-
victim.
that's
Let
not
me
what I
ask you
said.
this. Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything that you've all been through. It's terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
You know, why, Mr. Zuckerberg, why should your company not be sued for this? Why is it that you can claim, you hide behind a liability shield, you can't be held accountable? Shouldn't you be held accountable personally? Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I think I've already answered this. I mean, these
Well,
are
try
serious
this again.
issues.
Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I view my job and the job of our company as building the best tools that we can to keep our community safe.
Well, you're failing at
and
that.
Well, Senator, we're doing an industry-leading effort. We build AI tools
nonsense. Your product is killing people. Will you personally commit to compensating the victims? You're a billionaire. Will you commit to compensating the victims? Will you set up a compensation fund
Senator,
with your
I
money?
think these are
With your money.
complicated- Senator, these are complicated
Yes, that's not a complicated question, though. That's a
Senator,
yes or no.
this is-
Will you set up a victims' compensation fund with your money, the money you made on these families sitting behind you? Yes or no?
Senator, I don't think that's my job is to
Sounds
make sure
like
that
a
we
no.
build good tools. My
Sounds
job
like a
is
no.
to make sure that
Your job is to be responsible for what your company has done. You've made billions of dollars on the people sitting behind them. Are you here? You've done nothing to help them. You've done nothing to compensate them. You've done nothing to put it right. You could do so here today, and you should. You should, Mr. Zuckerberg.
He's good, isn't he?
He is good.
He's very good. I would not want to debate that individual. He's just he just leans on the side of logic. You know,
Where do you think all this is going to go?
Nowhere. I mean, it goes
Do you
nowhere.
think social media?
Oh, scared the crap out of me.
Sorry, sorry. Bam.
Teachers to cats.
Merch.
Even a logo that you can put on all that. Because with Vistaprint, the printability is endless. New customers get 20.
Oh,
I mean, you would think social media will change in the next few years with all the pressure
It's going to get worse.
they're under.
It's probably going to get worse before it gets better. Yeah, but the problem is no, wait, hang on. The problem is that you would never know this is happening unless you did what I did and you Googled like Kennedy funny moments or, you know, who watches freaking C-SPAN anymore? You would never know these people are being
I will
grilled
tell you
like
that
this.
moment with Zuckerberg made big headlines. Big headlines.
I don't remember it.
And I think there's a lot of...
Because he got up.
That was January, right? I think that
When
happened in
he
January.
got up and turned around, that made huge headlines because And probably his advisor said, "Why did you do that?"
Oh yeah, you bet.
I mean, that was so uncomfortable.
Well, that was an
right?
admittance
So uncomfortable.
of the fact that it's all true. These families have been hurt. Millions of people have been hurt by this. And Holly just pounded it home. What are you going to do to protect the future victims of this platform? And that you don't get an answer.
I don't think there isn't. My personal opinion, it's not about what Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and Meta and all that are going to do. It's you got to, as a parent, you got to keep your kids off of social media. They can, you know what? They're probably going to come out with all these different settings, and you can parental controls and things like that. Sure, you can make those all day long, but kids, teenagers, they're always going to find a way to access stuff.
Well, because they're better at it than we
They're
are.
better at it, and you can't make enough parental controls or blockages or whatever to weed out what's being fed to kids.
Okay, here's my theory. I don't think there is a way to fix it, because I think the algorithms are out of control because AI is going to take over the world. And the problem is there's no stopping it now. And algorithms are just AI. This is the very first step in AI was algorithms. And the problem is the algorithms have gone wacky and cranky, and now they control everything behind the scenes. And I get that they can press certain buttons to make certain algorithms, but I think that AI is slowly getting smarter than us.
Yeah, and
you know
all
what,
you
that's
got to do is type in one thing, and it's going to feed you what you want. You think it's going to block it?
That's a great point when you said AI, because I was just looking on TripAdvisor about rental homes, and
Where are we going?
at the very
Where are we going, AJ?
at the very end, it said, "Here's a summary of comments, of reviews about this property," and it admits AI written. Now I'm really reading it because I don't even care about the property now. I'm caring about how did AI put this together? And it is so wishy-washy. It's like some people say this and some people said that, and some people say this about sanitation, but some people say so. It's like
it's learning it faster than we can stop it. And, I'm not going to lie. I need a job description, ChatGPT.
Oh, ChatGPT spits anything out in 2 seconds.
I mean, I have a boom lift agreement. Bring, spits it out for me in 2 seconds. It's learning us faster than we can figure out how to stop
And now it's integrated in every app, every tool. You see it up at the like even if you go to like a Google or Safari or any of the social media apps, there's like the AI little function up there now. And it's like, you're telling me somehow you're going to make something where teens can't access that, or it's not going to spit anything back out if they're typing it in.
I think the aliens need to come visit us now, because we need some major advice, because I think we're heading in the wrong direction with what we're doing.
will this
Kids need to be off the devices.
Will AI eliminate higher education?
Probably.
Wow.
It's going to eliminate us.
Yeah. Wow.
We're all
It's not
going to
be good. It's not going to be good.
Terminator. Earth version. Yeah. All right, well, let's leave it there. We're all going to die. Everything sucks and we're all going to die, and I hate everything.
AI's watching you.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye.